when I got introduced to nutrition, my mentors simplified the heck out of it because it can be so confusing. There is a lot of misinformation out there. I know that if it wasn't for me focusing on my mindset when I first started, and my friend Levi can attest to this, I probably would have quit.
Yeah.
I tried to quit multiple times and he wouldn't let me. He's like, no, like, look how far you've come. You have no, let's keep going. People are constantly dieting. So stop dieting. My whole thing around the 12-week program is ditch the diet mentality. Learn how to fuel your body properly. Learn about nutrition, your body, and mindset.
Welcome to the CoachMD Podcast. I'm Dr. Charles Glassman, bringing you 3 decades of experience as a physician and a coach. Join us as we navigate the maze of medical advice with real-life stories, empowering you to take charge of your health. In our That Happens segment, guests share transformative experiences, reminding us that we're all human and not just patients. So get ready for a journey into healthcare reimagined, where empowerment and discovery pave the way. Hey, it's Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD. In my over 30 years of medical practice, I made it my goal to help people create a strong mind, a healthy body, and an unshakable spirit. And that's why I started the CoachMD podcast, because I realized that people go to their doctor really not getting much medical or really life guidance, because doctors, unfortunately, my colleagues are really heavy into kind of telling people what to do. And unfortunately, what they're telling people is sometimes not the best advice. And a lot of people are looking to kind of take their health and their life in their own hands. And I'm kind of all for that. That's kind of why I became Coach MD, because people were coming to me more looking for coaching, lifestyle guidance, because true wellness is not only taking medications. In fact, it's not anything about taking medications, because what I learned in my career is that there are 2 drivers of why people go to the doctor usually, except for an acute injury, right? They go to the regular doctor because of emotional issues, stress, lifestyle challenges, and also poor lifestyle choices. And those 2 things drive a lot of doctor visits. So it's important to kind of see what other people are doing to get their health and their life under control. And that's why my guests that I have on tell their story, how they kind of got their life under control, sometimes despite doctors' recommendations, and what they're doing now to help others do the same. And that doesn't mean that you don't go to doctors sometimes for advice, but you got to do your own research. You really do. And my guest today is Jose Ibarra, who has started what he calls the Committed Life Project. And I love that name, because in order to be really, truly committed in life, it's mind, body, spirit. It's mindset. Mindset. Somebody actually asked me that, what was my secret to how I'm aging? Well, I'm in my mid 60s. And as I was going through my career, people were asking me, what do you do? And I said, the most important thing is attitude, is mindset. And so Jose and what I see that he's doing is helping people not only mentally, but physically. So thanks so much, Jose, for coming on. And I really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So, I what kind of, got you kind of kicked you in the butt to kind of take things in your own hands, not take your own responsibility for your own life and your own health?
Well, really, life happened. It was in 2014, my wife came home and said she wants a divorce.
Oh,
She
boy.
was not happy.
Mm.
I was a workaholic. I was trying to do everything I could to support my family, but I wasn't giving them what they truly wanted, and that was my time. So, the example that was set for me by my father was, you work, you provide for your family. He was never really around, and he would come home at night super late, but he wasn't a part of sports. He wasn't a part of like
Mm.
the traditional things that, people are normally a part of in life.
Yeah.
So fast forward to almost a year later, and we're right in the middle of our divorce. And I was just exhausted. I was drinking 2 to 3 rock stars a day. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was trying to acclimate myself to life with split custody of the kids. I'd have them 50% of the time. She'd have them 50% of the time. And at the time they were really little. They were, my son was 5 and my daughter was 3, I want to say. So they were still pretty young, or maybe 4 and 6. Either way, still really young.
Yeah.
And I was exhausted. I was running my DJ company. I've been a wedding DJ for 21 years now, but I was also working full time. And so it was fast food. It was pizza. It was things that were convenient and simple. So I just had no energy. And it really came to a point when my daughter came to me and she wanted to go to the park, which was 3 minutes away from the townhouse we were in. And before I could even sit up and say, okay, let's go, I was dreading it. I'll be honest, I was dreading it.
Wow.
I'm sure we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm exhausted, but kid wants to go. But before I could finish getting up, she said, never mind, Dad, you're too tired. And at that time she was 5 years old, and she walked away from me with her head down. And it was that moment that I knew that I was letting my kids down.
Wow.
I wasn't being the daddy that they deserved. And so I called my friend Stephanie, who had been talking to me about this direct sales company and doing this challenge to start getting healthy. And I said, okay, what do I need to do? And I jumped all in. And when I say I jumped all in, I spent like $2,000, jumped all into this program, and I had amazing results in 4 months because I was dedicated. So that's where it really started.
Yeah. And that's the dedication part, the commitment part. That's the thing. And sometimes you need something. You need that package, you need kind of things packaged up for you to, so you can go full in. And, I know that, through my career, and when I talk about the emotional issues or lifestyle choices that people make, money, health, and relationships are like the triad of what can go wrong in people's lives and what bring to the doctor's office. Now, most doctors aren't going to talk to Jose about your divorce, right? You're going to go into your doctor, you say, oh, doc, I just feel really tired. I don't, okay. So, let's do some blood tests. Oh, all your blood tests are normal. Just exercise and lose weight. Okay. I mean, it's like, okay, so what about what's going on in your life, your relationships? These are questions that are important. So here you are, you go and you get better, and what changed after that? Like, what were the next things? Because it sounds as though that really propelled you into kind of a life change, which I think is really important for my listeners to know, because you made a commitment, you took responsibility, and you did it. So many people have such a hard time getting to that step, and one day leads to the next, then a day leads to a week, and a week leads to a month, and a year, 5 years, 10 years, and nothing changes. So tell us a little bit about how that happened, and then what happened next.
Well, so the biggest thing for me was I found a group of people who were going to be supportive, because I'd yo-yo dieted for years, and I knew that I needed to change something, but I just didn't know how. And I knew that if I didn't go all in and spend the money, I wouldn't take it as serious and be committed. But what really helped the most was the accountability and the community that I supported, that I was surrounded with. My friend Levi Thomas is phenomenal at painting vision. And so he painted this vision for my life of what my life could be, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, financially, all these things. He laid it out there. And I started diving into personal development. The first book I read was The 4 Agreements. And then I read The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. And then from that point, I fell in love with personal development. And I was reading, 1 to 2 books a month for quite a while. Now I still read, just not as much as I did, because now I'm more about podcasts and audiobooks, things like that. But it was that first month I lost 19 pounds, and it was all nutrition. Then from there, I started working out. I signed up for CrossFit, even though I was scared to death.
Right.
Because you see it on TV, and it's a whole different game, though. My friend Emily said, Jose, you can do this. I promise. I will take care of you. I will be there every step of the way. And that first day I was supposed to go to CrossFit, she called and said, actually, something came up.
Oh, no.
Luckily, my friend Rachel knew that I was supposed to come, and I told her what happened. And she had her husband, Steve, go with me. And Steve's been one of my really good friends since middle school. So I had someone there that I trusted, someone that I knew could be there in case I had a breakdown because I was scared out of my mind. I
Yeah.
never really worked. I was never an athlete. And I played sports as a kid, but I was never like really athletic. So I knew though that CrossFit could be something that could really challenge me and push me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as CrossFit, and I talk a lot about this, is really kind of a game changer for me. I had a buddy who was always trying to get me to go to this, on Saturdays. That was his thing. Just come on Saturday. Just try. Just try this. And at the time, it wasn't even officially CrossFit. It was kind of a CrossFit light, if you will.
Right.
It was called K-Fit. It was actually attached to a physical therapy facility. And the physical therapist thought it would be a great idea to get some of the physical therapists who worked out and are trainers to have a separate class. And it was a small class. And, I kept saying, no, because I use Saturdays to catch up on my work and this and that. One day I went and I just like fell in love with it because it was kind of what I would read about in Men's Health magazine over the years. And I kind of envied those guys. I wanted to be able to do some of those movements that they showed in some of the workouts, some of the celebrities who they highlighted and all this stuff. And I started getting, and then it just one thing led to another, and that closed down. And then when that closed down, we moved into a garage that was with a personal trainer who happened to be the son of friends of ours. So he was in his 20s, but he was already a level 1 CrossFit trainer, or maybe level 2. And so he started training us. And there was only like 4 or 5 of us in this fully equipped gym. And that's what really kind of got me going. And I know that it was very similar to what I did in my 20s, which was karate, right? So I was in karate in my 20s. The mindset that you had to develop for that and it was throughout my 20s and early 30s, but I hadn't done anything like that for at least 20 years, 25 years. And this was the closest thing to it because it takes so much concentration and focus. And like, it really helps you with all mind, body, and spirit because it's all in one. And the key though is the 2 things: community that you mentioned, right? And nutrition. See, nutrition is a key part that a lot of CrossFitters ignore, and why I just read something today. This guy was saying that, some CrossFitters don't really look healthy. Like, they're working out 5 days a week, but they don't really look healthy. And a lot of that comes to the nutrition side because CrossFit increases your appetite. It really does. It revs it up. I mean, you look at how many calories you burn when you wear your smartwatch, whatever, and you're burning like 700 calories or whatever in like an hour. I mean, it's amazing, but it also revs up your appetite. And if you don't change what you're eating, you're going to eat more of what you're not supposed to be eating. So, that's just an aside, but it definitely, the mindset part of it is so key, and the nutrition aspect of it, and it's great. And so from that, when did you start with the Committed Life Project?
The Committed Life Project actually came way later. It actually came earlier this year officially, but it actually became an idea several years back. But I actually started my company almost 4 years ago with a totally different name, and that's been what I've been doing for almost 4 years. Since I left the corporate world, been working for myself 100% since September 2020. And the Committed Life Project, like I said, was just a thought, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. But it kept popping in my mind: live life committed. And so earlier this year, I used ChatGPT. I'm not going to lie. I went to ChatGPT and said, "Here's my idea. This is what I'm looking to do. Create a 30-day plan." And I used that 30-day plan, and I did it in about 20 days. I did the first probably 7 days in the first 24 hours, because now I had a plan laid out in front of me. I said, okay, now it clicked. Okay, this is what I want to do. These are the actions I need to take. And I put my website together, my my mission and vision statement, core values, all those things. And originally what I wanted to do is have a paid community, because when people have, skin in the game, they're more likely to say get serious, right?
Yep.
So I had a very low entry, and a lot of people said, "Oh, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it." But then when it came to the financials, I was like, nope.
Right.
So initially it was a big flop. And so when people say, "Oh, so you failed," well, yes and no. It's only failure when you quit, right? So I didn't quit, I kept going. So instead, I took it off of school, because if no one's paying for it, I'm not going to keep paying school. I'm going to come up with a different idea. So right now, I've got a small Facebook group that for the Committed Life Project that we're building slowly but surely. And as we build it, once I get to at least maybe 100 members on my paid group, then I'll start offering like an inner circle type thing, or like or I don't know what I'd call it yet, but something to where, I have a small group of maybe 8 to 10 people that get that specialized coaching that want more out of it. There are plenty of people will take the free stuff and they'll run with it and they'll do great. But there's going to be the people that really want more, that see the vision. That's who I want to work with.
Yeah.
And so there will be a small monthly on that one. Still make it very affordable, but enough to where people will spend the money, they'll actually do something with it. I learned early on in my coaching career, if you don't charge enough, people don't take it serious and they just kind of, whatever. And so I had my very first group coaching that happened. I didn't charge enough, and I had 3 people never show up to one single call, and I reached out to them multiple times, and so I just got free money to do nothing.
Yeah.
But as a coach, and how does that, if I can't get people results because they're not doing their part, how does that make me look? So I was like, no, I'm going to charge a little bit more, make sure people have skin in the game and understand that we're here to make a difference. We're here to make a lifestyle change. It's not just short, a lot of people, I've actually been criticized for just doing a 12-week program to start. I said, that's just a Kickstarter. That's my program is called My Healthy Lifestyle Kickstarter. It's not just a 12-week program and you're done. That's just the jumpstart. From there, actually every single one of my clients that has gone through that with my one-on-one coaching has stayed beyond the 12 weeks because they got such good results, but they learned how to make healthier choices. We have a new module every week and new homework, and it's 1 week at a time. Because if I give you all the information at once, you're going to get overwhelmed, you're going to quit, and you're going to go home and cry. So it's just little by little, and it's worked tremendously. I even have a self-study option that a few people have had tremendous success with. One gal actually told me that it was genius. She's like, this is so simple and easy to follow. It's like, I don't know how you don't have more of these sold. I'm like, just one at a time, I'm just helping one person at a time. But I simplified it as much as possible, because when I got introduced to nutrition, my mentors simplified the heck out of it, because it can be so confusing. There is a lot of misinformation out there. And so, and there's people are constantly dieting. So stop dieting. My whole thing around the 12-week program is ditch the diet mentality, learn how to fuel your body properly, learn about nutrition, your body, and mindset. Because that's a key piece. I know that if it wasn't for me focusing on my mindset when I first started, and my friend Levi can attest to this, I probably would have quit. I tried to quit multiple times and he wouldn't let me. He's like, no, like, look how far you've come. You have no, let's keep going. And just a little side note, about 1.5 years in, the company that I was a part of actually reached out to me and said, hey, we want to feature your story in our magazine that gets published twice a year. And I was shocked. I was like, but 38 pounds in 4 months isn't anything great. What about these? I was comparing myself to the people that lost 100+ pounds, right?
Yeah.
But the lady on the phone, she made a great point. She said, Jose, not everyone has 100 pounds to lose. More people will relate to your story than they will to that story. It's like, your story is powerful because it's so relatable to so many more people, and they need to hear it. And after that publication came out, I had people from other parts of the company reaching out to me like, oh my gosh, like, your story helped me tremendously. I'm in the same boat. Because so many of us are depressed. I was in such a dark place, but nobody knew it because I hid it so well. So.
Yeah. Wow. One of the things that, comes to mind, and when you were, when talking about, first of all, Chat GPT, I use it all the time. I think Chat GPT is AI. People shouldn't be afraid of artificial intelligence. It's bad people. You see, we have to be afraid of the people using it. Okay. I
Right.
mean, that it's the people using AI that we have to be afraid of. Not really AI itself, because AI could be an extraordinary useful tool.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I really loved looking over your website and your mission statement, there were two keys that I really loved. The first was courage. You mentioned courage, and I know in my life, certain things that I've done have taken a lot of courage. And if I didn't have that courage, my life would be in a totally different direction. And the other was faith. And if I didn't have faith in that courage, that my personal belief is that it's a God-given, I have faith in God. That's me personally. I'm not telling my listeners that they have to endorse a certain, mindset when it comes to that. But the way I view it, and that I am grateful to God for that courage. And that courage caused me to do a lot of things in my life that have really turned out to live in the life that I feel I should be living. The biggest courage it took for me was in 2002, when I transitioned my regular medical practice into what's called a concierge practice, and talk about people paying extra for service. This wasn't, really, it was $1,500 a year that they'd pay for me to be their doctor. And that took a lot of courage, because from 13,000 patients in my practice, and I had a partner at the time in our practice, it went down to 50 patients. So the night we went from our regular practice to the concierge practice, went from 13,000 to 50. I had 4 young children. We had moved into a new house. I mean, this took a lot of courage. And I remember telling the company that helped us do that 2 months after we did it, I said, if things don't change, I'm going to be bankrupt in 9 months, whatever, by the summer. That never happened. That was in 2002. So I'm thankful. I mean, it took a lot of courage to do that, but nothing in life that is worth anything, it does, anything that's worth anything takes courage, and it
Oh,
takes that
absolutely.
steadfastness. And you experience that. Yeah, with your whole journey. And I really love how you put that out there as part of the Committed Life Project. That's a component of it, which I love.
Well, that had to be a huge part of it, because when I took the leap of faith almost 4 years ago and I gave a 30-day notice to my employer, I mean, I didn't have a lot of reserves in the bank. I knew that I either had to do it or fall flat on my face.
Mm,
But you don't know until you just do it. Now, I don't recommend anyone just quit their job until and just jump all in like I did.
yeah.
That's just how I am personally. That's how I work best under pressure. And so I just took a leap of faith, and it did take a lot of courage. I had some friends tell me, don't do it. Like, you're a fool. And I had other friends say, go for it, because they knew me and they knew my heart, what I wanted to accomplish. They saw my vision and they said, let's go. I said, if it doesn't work out the way you anticipated, hey, at least you tried.
Yeah.
And here we are going on 4 years. And this last month, I had my second best month in business to date.
Wow. Good for
Now, a few
you.
months before that, I had my 3 worst months. So,
Right.
you know, it's going to happen though. So I easily could have quit, said, oh, like 3 bad months in a row, like I'm done. But I was literally $550 away from tying my best month last
Wow.
month. And so, yeah, it
Congratulations.
was more of a catch up, but there's a lot that's happened since December. I ended up totaling my car coming back from a DJ event that I was
Hmm.
doing. And so dealing with insurance and that whole thing, and it's been a mess. But just it's kind of I took my eye off the prize for a little bit, because I was focusing on so many other things, trying to get those things handled. But we're back at it, and that's all you can do is stay courageous and stay faithful, like we talked about,
Yeah.
and know that the right things will work out. But they don't work out if you don't try.
Yeah.
And one of the things my kids, they use my coaching on me all the time. It's so funny. My daughter wanted to do something the other day, and I said no. I said, well, I got stuff I got to get done. And she said, Dad, closed mouths don't get fed. So I'm hungry. I want to get fed. So I'm asking you again, can we go do XYZ? And I looked at her, said, valid point, child. touche, let's go. So,
I love that.
but she's 14, but she uses my stuff on me all the time. But our children are constantly listening to what we're doing and what we're saying. So if
Yeah.
we're positive, if we're, saying the right things, if we're going after things that we want in life, if we're staying optimistic and we're not being, downers, our kids are going to follow suit. Now, if we're always depressed and always like, oh, everything sucks, poor me, what do you think our kids are going to learn from that? They're going to adopt that same personality. And so growing up, your parents always say you can do anything you want in life. We always encourage our kids to be the best they can be, but as you get older, oh no, you have to be more realistic.
Right.
I learned from a mentor several years ago, Jack. He says, anyone that tells me to be more realistic, I get away from them, because those are the people who don't have the vision. You want to be around people that say, that's it's a stretch, but it's doable. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. When you talk about your child, I have adult children now, but when my son was about 14, I remember he heard something about comfort zone on television. He said, Dad, they're talking about like he thought I made that term up or whatever, because I always talked about pushing, going out of your comfort zone and how it's dangerous, and our brain fights and flees that. That's automatic. It automatically, anytime we goes, our primitive nature, our animal nature tells us that that's danger, but it actually is better for it. We can't follow that. We can't listen to that brain, because otherwise we won't go, because most of the things that we have to get in life are outside of that comfort zone. And that's what the courage is necessary for, to go after that. And it's really, it's so important that to do that. I think that's a great lesson. And certainly, one of the stories I love to tell, and I say it multiple times, and those people who've listened to my podcast and listen to different episodes are going to get bored of hearing this, but I think it's so important to tell this parable over and over. And it is about setting goals, but it's about setting the right goals and not being overwhelmed by goals. And so it goes like this. It was written in by Joe Hyams in a martial arts book that he wrote, Zen in the Martial Arts. And this 10-year-old kid goes to starting karate, goes to the sensei. He says, Sensei, how long is it going to take me to get my black belt? And the sensei says, 10 years. And the boy's kind of dumbfounded. He's 10 years old. That's twice his life. Well, Sensei, what if I train all day and all night and just, think about karate and during the day and when I go to school, how long is it going to take? And the sensei says, 20 years. 20 years. But what if you let me come into the dojo and I live here and you train me, and that's my learning and that's my growing and that's my school? How long then, Sensei? Sensei says 30 years. So dumbfounded, the boy looks at the sensei and says, I just don't understand. And the sensei looks in his eyes and he says, son, if you have one eye on your goal, you only have one eye on the path in which to find the way. And so some people will look at that and say, well, so I shouldn't make goals? No, but you shouldn't set a goal. For instance, if you have to lose 100 pounds, you shouldn't keep looking at that 100 pounds because it's too daunting and overwhelming. You should look at the short-term steps you're going to take. So that boy taking the steps, learning breaking down the different movements of karate and studying every day and perfecting those along the way, it's going to lead you to that goal. So if you have short-term goals, it's going to eventually have an idea in mind what you want, where you want to go, but focus on those steps so you're not overwhelmed and you're not crushed by that. And so, yeah, that's what reminded me when you were talking about how you're setting up your program.
Well, and that's important. One thing that I learned this last year, actually, from another one of my mentors, I have several. Always have mentors. That's my biggest thing. I'll tell everybody. But I can't remember who said it, but they said somebody mentioned one of their goals was to lose 100 pounds, and they said that's not a goal, that's an outcome. So we need to set some smaller goals in order, like what are you going to do differently to help you get there? Now you can't lose 100 pounds, so you first lose 1 pound, and then 5, and then 10, and so on. So let's reverse engineer this. What macro goals, or micro goals rather, can we do to get there? And
Love
then
it.
so I was seeing a massage therapist after my accident, and I was getting to know her pretty well. And I wanted to try something on her. So I said, hey, what's your goal for this year? And she said, oh, my goal is to buy a house. I said, that's not a goal. I said, that's an outcome. I said, what things do you need to do different that you're not doing
Right.
already in order to reach that goal? And it really made her think. And she started saying, well, I need to start doing this. And she said, oh my gosh, there's a lot of things I need to do. And so the next time I saw her, I said, okay, so what are those goals that we set? And she had a plan all laid out, all from the simple, a lot of times we ask people, what's your goal? Oh, that's a great goal. Okay, cool. Well, so now we need to be a little bit more in depth. Okay, that's more of an outcome. So how can we make that a reality? What do we need to do? Because you can write down your goals all day long, but if you don't take action, then you're not going to reach that goal. And my one mentor, Jack, said, write your goals down twice every single day, use blue pen. And a lot of people were doing it, but what action are you taking? I actually have another program that I was doing. It's a 90-day goal accelerator program that I offer a couple times per year. But one of the things that I found, and actually I just looked at it this morning, the statistics, it was 83% of people don't have goals. And out of those 17% that do have goals, only 14% of those people didn't write their goals down, meaning only 3% of people had goals that wrote them down. And in a separate study, people that not only had goals but wrote them down and had accountability and had an action plan had a 73% or 76% success rate, maybe it was 73. I don't remember off the top of my head, but a much higher success rate when they had the goal written down, had an action plan, and had the accountability, even if the accountability was telling somebody else what their goal was. Like my goal, like if I were to say, my goal is to, get back under 200 pounds. Right now I'm 210. So that's my goal in the next X amount of days. One thing that I learned years ago too, that I utilize quite often, is I'll go to somebody that I don't like to lose to, and I'll make a one-sided bet. Like my good friend Kevin, he's one of our CrossFit coaches.
Yeah.
Like if I go to him and say, hey, Kevin, by the end of this month, I'm gonna be under 200 pounds. If not, I owe you XYZ, whatever it is. And then it pushes me to work that much harder, because I don't want to owe Kevin whatever it is that we agreed upon. I don't like to lose to Kevin.
Yeah.
I love Kevin. He's one of my best friends, but I don't like to lose to him. So
Yeah.
because he's the kind of guy that'll be like, yeah, you tried, like he'd rub it in my face that I failed.
Yeah.
Not to be mean,
No,
but
no,
just
no,
to
no.
encourage me to,
It's a friendly competition.
right. It's, boys being boys, but just to really push myself to be that much better. And there's plenty of times where I'll be in the middle of a workout and I'll modify a movement. He's like, what are you doing? It's like that modification is way too easy. Do this instead. That way it's still modified, but it's still more challenging.
Yeah.
So he's always pushing me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that's what a good coach does.
Yeah.
But just by having that, and I learned this, I think back in like 2003, 2004, I did a personal mastery class through a company called Clermont Associates. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but I learned a lot of fantastic tools from them. And that was one of them, is not only do you write the goal, but find someone to attach it to, like a one-sided bet that so during that course that I took, I said, I want to get 2 listings and put at least 1 in escrow. If I don't, I've got to pay this other guy like $50. And it was a guy I didn't really care for. So it was extra motivation, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to, one, admit that I failed, and 2, have to pay this guy because I didn't hit my target. So when you have the right motivation, it's a lot, and you have an action plan, you're going to hit your goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
That action plan.
Yeah. And so a couple things that I think are so important to kind of emphasize here, because this is the CoachMD podcast. All right. Now I'm a doctor. I was a doctor for over 30 years. And I called myself CoachMD because I noticed, again, that emotional issues, mindset influences our health. And if you're not meeting your goals, if you have an idea in life of what you want to do and you're not meeting, it makes you feel bad. And when you feel bad, you feel sick. Those pains, those aches and pains start, because those aches and pains a lot of times are your brain distracting you, because what you want is to dangerous. Okay. It's too outside your comfort zone and therefore dangerous. So your body is distracting you with pains. And when you get those pains, it makes you focus on those pains, and it's actually doing what the programming is. The programming is to make you fight and flee danger. So
Right.
if outside your comfort zone is danger to the brain, not to you and where you really want to be, but to your brain, then your body's going to do whatever it takes by all means necessary to make you fight and flee that danger. So what it does is it distracts you. It creates things. It creates little areas of your body that might not get it. Your muscles may tighten a little bit so the oxygen's not getting it to it, which causes a little bit of pain. So you're focused, overly focused on the pain, and you don't go outside your comfort zone. And, what you talked about when you said you don't encourage people to leave their day job. And I agree with you, because another thing that could make you really sick is if you can't provide for your own independence in food, clothing, and shelter, right? If
Right.
you can't be responsible independently for affording your food, clothing, and shelter, that's going to make you very sick, really.
Absolutely.
So that it's important. Yeah, you might have dreams. We all have dreams, but make sure that I have this saying that before you reach for the stars, make sure both feet are firmly planted on the ground. So yes, when we say it's not realistic, okay, I would never say it's not realistic. No, but I would say get your foundation strong first,
Absolutely.
and then you can reach for the stars, reach for those goals, right? So I know that sounds like something that you're definitely emphasizing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm one of those rare cases.
Yeah.
And actually, several years earlier, I actually did the same thing and I failed. So I
Mhm.
think I had a little bit different approach the second time. But when I say I failed that first time, I fell flat on my face, really bad. And I mean, I was in a horrible position where I was damn near bankrupt.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I had to get another job, and did that for several years. So I feel the second time I did have both feet on the ground, and I just had a little bit different vision, and I knew that what it was going to take this time around. And so, um, again, I went for it, but I had the learning experience from the time before. And it was also September 2020. That was right smack in the middle of COVID.
Wow.
So that's why a lot of people were like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And originally, I told people I want to be I'm a healthy lifestyle coach. That's what I started out with, because
Yeah.
I got certified as a life coach and as a health coach, and that's what I wanted to do, is help people get healthy from the inside out. And then now I've kind of switched a little bit to, when people ask me what I do, it's I'm a what do I tell them? I'm a health, fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach. Because healthy lifestyle, that can mean so many things. So when I
Yeah.
break it down, and I say, "Oh, what does that entail?" When I give those 4 different things, I say, "What does that entail exactly?" And I explain all this, the certifications I have and why I decided to go that route. And because that's everything that I focus on from the very beginning. Back in 2015, I focused first on my health, then my fitness. Actually, at first it was health and nutrition, and then it was fitness, then it
Mhm.
was mindset. It was that order. So, but I just feel like health, fitness, nutrition, mindset just rolls better off the tongue. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it does.
but
And
those are the 4 main components that I focus on from day one to get the results that I got. The results that people said, "Holy crap, what happened to you?" And even my doctors were like, "I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. Your blood work's amazing."
yeah. Yeah. See that it's almost comical to me,
Mhm.
because unless you do that and take that upon yourself, you're not
Mhm.
going to get the guidance from your doctor. And again, with all due respect to my colleagues, they're under a lot
Right.
of pressure. They're working hard. They're seeing a lot of patients. They don't have a lot of time to sit down and really talk with people like I was able to do when I changed my practice.
Right.
But it's still, you're not, if you're relying on your doctor for your overall health care, you probably are not going to be that healthy. You really have to take things really in your own hands a lot of times and get guidance from people who are doing the whole thing, like what you're doing, Jose, because the physical fitness aspect of it, you're not going to, unless your doctor is really into it, you're not going to get that guidance, and you're not going to get the nutritional guidance because in medical school, we really don't learn that. I had to teach myself this, all this stuff, a lot of this stuff. And it's not about just taking the right supplements because, as I said before, when someone asks me what's the key, they're expecting me to tell them, oh, well, you take this vitamin, that vitamin. No, it's not that easy. You really have to, it is easy once you get used to, once you get a
Right.
routine and you look forward to it. I mean, I look forward to working out. I look forward to eating healthy. I look forward to, healthy mindset. It just makes me feel good and vibrant. But it's mindset and attitude. And that's, the physical fitness, like we talked about the CrossFit, and I love it because it just, to me, it's full body workout. It's
Right.
just, and I know that people are afraid of it. You really got to get in with a good coach who will teach you how to scale it to your own ability. I very rarely do what's called the RX or the RX plus. I look at that. I'm older. I'm a master's, if you will. They call them masters, but masters starts like at 50 or 55. I mean, I'm well past that, right? So, I have to scale it. So I know what's right for me. And when you go into a class like that, you really have to go on with blinders between just you and the coach and what you decide is right for you. You can't look at what the person next to you is doing because you have to live with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing is not your journey. Has zero to do with what you're doing. So yeah, but you're now starting another phase of exercise that
Yes.
I'm very intrigued about because it involves running,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing that I see that increases my heart rate. Maybe rowing a little bit and the assault bike close to running, but not running makes my heart rate go up the highest out of any of the exercises that I do. So tell us a little bit about, and so that's aerobic, or
Right.
anaerobic sometimes, or it gets you into a red zone, but that, my heart rate in my mid 60s, my average probably anywhere between 48 and 54. And that's my resting heart rate. And that's pretty healthy. And that's by doing the CrossFit type workouts. But this new, tell us a little bit about the new workout that you got certified for.
So recently, our CrossFit gym has always offered a class that we called sweat. It was, CrossFit minus the barbell, because that's what was intimidating to people. And sometimes for the older folk that maybe didn't want to do the barbell stuff, but still wanted to get workout to really work on the endurance. And anytime I wanted to work on my motor, I would do an extra sweat class a couple times a week in addition to CrossFit. But my our gym owner came to me a few months ago and was like, "Hey, we're starting this new thing. It's called High Rocks." I said, "What?" I said, "What is High Rocks?" And he said, "It's just new programming. They have High Rocks races all over the world." And I said, "Cool." I said, I'll try it." And I went to his very first class at 5 a.m. because we offer a class. It's the only time I ever worked out at 5 a.m., by the way. But I wanted to to experience one of his first classes, be there to support him. And I really loved the structure behind it, because here you've got to work out on the board. And I said, "Well, what's prescribed weight?" He said, "There's not a prescribed weight. You pick the weight."
I like that. Yeah.
So now there's pros and cons to that, because I don't want to go too light. So I was like, well, I'll,
Right.
I'll go a little bit heavier on on these dumbbell deadlifts and on these farmer carries. Well, I didn't take it into consideration. I had 5 rounds of work to do. So I might have gone a little heavy, but I loved that I was able to push myself. And I didn't have to worry about like the shoulder injuries from muscle ups or pull ups or things of that nature, or, snatches. And so it was very aerobic. So then the more I researched it, I said, I want to become a High Rocks affiliated coach. I want to see what that looks like.
Mm.
And so I actually got that certification last week. But the more I learned about High Rocks and the actual structure of a High Rocks race involves 8 different stations of movements that are mostly body weight. There's a couple like a sled push, sled pull, farmer carry. Obviously, there's some weight there, but there's rowing, there's ski-erg, there's also burpee broad jumps, there's wall balls, all these things in each station, but it all starts with a 1,000-meter run. So everybody starts off, you do a 1,000-meter run, do station number 1, 1,000-meter run, station number 2. So it's very high intensity, but you have to have a good motor, right? But looking at the weight, it's not anything crazy. And to me, I feel that anybody can do a high rocks race. Anybody that's physically fit can do a high rocks race, whether you do a solo high rocks race. I'm actually doing my first high rocks race. I'm looking at December 7th in Anaheim, California. That's what I'm looking at. Haven't locked it in 100% yet, but I'm doing a team. So me and a good friend, or hope Kevin, actually, I'm trying to convince him to do it with me because he's a good runner.
Mhm.
He's great at all the other movements, and the weight's not horrible, but it's just a good way to get started. Now, if there's someone who's like, well, I'm still not quite there yet, still, they have a relay option. So with a team option, both of you are running, but you just split the reps. On the relay option, from my understanding, that each person just picks 2 stations and they do those 2 stations. And then so you're not just, you have quite a bit of rest in between too. So, but at least it gives you something to strive for, something to start out with. Also, again, every high rocks race is identical. Now there's some smaller high rocks events, like we're putting one on in October at our gym, and I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but it's going to be a lot of similar movements, and it's going to be very, very much running. That's half of the workout is running. I mean, 8,000 meters. That's what, just under 5 miles.
Yeah.
Total, and you're running under fatigue a lot of the time, because after your first run, you do a 1,000-meter ski erg, then you run again, then you're doing the sled push, then the sled pull, and then after that, I don't remember the exact order, but you end with wall balls. 100 wall balls. If you've
Yeah.
ever done wall balls, you know what that does to your legs, especially if they're already tired. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
So I see it as a challenge it's more accessible to people than, say, a CrossFit competition.
Mhm.
As good as I am at CrossFit, you throw me in there and you say, okay, do you got heavy snatches? Nope. With these shoulders, nope, not happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even at my peak, that's always been something that kind of was a limiting factor for me. And so here's a race that anybody could do. The weights are reduced depending on if you do open, female, male, mixed. They have all these different options.
Mhm.
If you guys are interested at all, I would look up Hyrox. It's HYROX. It started in Germany in 2017, and it's really, really becoming popular. So much so that my friend Jason, who is actually a sports agent for a lot of CrossFit athletes, Josh Bridges included, they're looking at doing some Hyrox stuff, and they're promoting Hyrox, and they're getting more involved with it too. So a lot
Yeah.
of former CrossFitters are making that transition because there's less of the injury factor, and it's still a competition that you're really pushing yourself. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for it.
Yeah. So, exercise is such a key component to all forms of wellness. And,
Right.
running, you see people who are long distance runners. And, because I had to do it, in my
Right.
early 30s, I ran a couple marathons. And like I said, I had to do it. And I only ran 2 because I didn't want to say I only ran 1. And that's kind of
Right.
what my mindset was. But I was around a lot of runners at the time. I was training with them, and they really didn't seem healthy, honestly. And so that's why when you combine running with other physical fitness, it really promotes the wellness and total body wellness. So
Right.
I like that combination is really good. Because again, I can't stress it enough. And I know, and I love that you put all of that together in the Committed Life Project, because to be committed in life, you really need to be active. You need to have your body, mind, and soul connected, and it's all connected. And that's
Well, and you also have to be committed in all areas. So some people are so committed in their health and fitness, but they're not committed to their family.
yeah.
Or
There you
some people
go.
are committed so much to their family that they're neglecting their fitness. So
Mhm.
I want to help people learn how to be committed in all areas in order to achieve the level of success that they want to achieve.
Yeah.
So that's why it's all about, the relationships is part of it. Be
Yeah.
committed in your relationships, in your career, whether you work for somebody else or you're an entrepreneur. Not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. Some people do amazing as employees. My sister's a prime example. she does really, really well for herself, and she works for a startup company called Whatnot, and she is just, she does amazing things. But
Yeah.
if she were to try to do her own thing, it's just not how she's wired. She's wired to, okay, tell me what to do and I'm going to become the best at it. And she has done that.
Yeah.
Super proud of what she's been able to accomplish, but she's committed in that area. So finding whatever it is that you want out of life, where can you be more committed? And for me, what I found that where I was lacking my commitment was, waking up early and really writing down my goals and having a routine, because routine is what's going to set you up for success. If you don't have a routine, if you're just going through your day all willy-nilly, and you don't have an action plan. So setting a routine is a good way to get the ball rolling in the morning, especially if you wake up and you stack some wins. It could be as simple as, waking up, journaling, making your bed, brushing your teeth. Boom, there's 3 wins right off the bat.
Yeah.
By 5:15 a.m. Now you just keep rolling. The night before, and this is something that I learned from my good friend Adrian Del Monte, is, you start at night, you prep everything. Okay, what went well today? What are some tasks I need to tackle tomorrow? And that last hour of the day before you go to bed, and you're planning this all out with pen and paper, your phone's put away. Because now you're not trying to, obviously blue light affects sleep, but if you can just get rid of the social media or the screen altogether and just really focus on other things, journaling, reading, you're going to sleep better, for one, and 2, you're just going to be more productive because now you've got an action plan. And so actually this morning wrote down, I woke up at 5 a.m. for the first time in several weeks, because it's been, with my DJ schedule, it's been pretty busy, but I was like, yeah, there's no more excuses. Just even us coaches, we have our days, okay? We have to get back on track.
Yeah.
But I woke up at 5 a.m., spent some time in prayer, and, woke up, had my hydrogen water. That's something new to me as well. But then I wrote in my journal, I wrote down 11 goals for the month of July. And then not only did I write those goals down, but then I put little action steps. And one of those was to be on at least 3 podcasts. Well, here I am on the first one.
Love
2
it.
more to go.
I'm glad I could be number 1.
Because I've been on multiple podcasts before, but I need to stay more consistent because, one, it gets people to know who I am as an online, coach. I need more people to know who I am. But 2, I get to learn from other people. And how great is it to learn from other coaches who have different perspectives?
Yeah.
You might learn something. Actually, almost every time you're talking to somebody, another coach, you're going to learn something, because we're all different and we all have a different approach. So if I can learn from somebody who is a doctor, who has seen things a little bit differently, has a different perspective, it's like, oh, you could learn something.
Yeah.
Just like you may learn something from someone who's never a doctor, but they, one day just decided enough was enough and they made some different changes.
Yeah. All the time. I'm learning a lot from you today, Jose, I have to say. One of the things that I love is, what you talk about, just doing simple routine tasks as wins. See, a lot of people think that, I talk about daily magic and noticing those simple things in life that seem to happen. And most people, when they're looking for miracles, they're looking for the sky to open and God to talk to them, whatever, and they miss those little magical moments in life, those miracles, those small miracles, those coincidences. And just by looking, when you're setting up a routine like you're talking about, and considering those as wins, because they are wins. And, I love when you talk about your sister, and, it's like we talk about the goals being overwhelming or daunting. And so many people say, oh, I want to be the best. I want to be the best at this. Well, being the best is a lot of times out of our range. We can't achieve it. But what's always in our range is doing our best. So we could only do the best that we can do, but we can't always be the best. I mean, if you are, okay, that's gravy, it's whatever, but that's not what you shoot for. So, I love that perspective that you have on that. And I think that can be, really very helpful to people. Again, for overall.
I feel like you should never be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
You should always be learning, always be growing. And that's why, our gym owner, Alan, we become good friends, but he teases me all the time. He's like, man, you have more certifications than anybody I know. I said, well, yeah, because I'm not going to go out and get one certification. Be like, okay, I'm certified and I'm going to help people. Like, I want to continuously learn because you're always evolving. You're always learning something new. Times change.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've got certifications in health and nutrition from different sources, but I'm learning different things that work for different people because what works for me may not work for you. So I need to look at different approaches, right? And I need to learn things from different people. And so I'm nutrition certified, but I'm also CrossFit nutrition certified. I learned a few things in that certification that I didn't learn in my other one. And so now I'm also going through NCI for their level 1, and I'm learning things there that I haven't learned in any of the other ones,
Nice.
And it's important to have all those things because again, times change, and as much as I'm not a big fan of keto personally, I need to know about it. So if someone comes to me, well, I've been doing this, I know how to address it or like how to, talk to them about those things. So I've tried it all just so I get a better understanding of what my clients are looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, Jose, I really, like I said, I really love what you're doing. And I'm going to put links in the description of the podcast to your websites and how people can get in touch with you. And the Committed Life Project sounds really great. And I look forward to staying in touch, definitely. Maybe
Absolutely.
collaborate in some respect. So thanks again for coming on. And everybody, again, I'm Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD, urging you always to stay strong in mind, in body, and right here in soul. Bye for now.